Hello everybody, this is the Starving Martian, host of Martian Peace Theater, and today we're going to answer a question that's been bouncing around the internet for a few years now. Question being this. You are walking around minding your own business when out of nowhere you get attacked by a Sith Lord. You know these things happen. At last, we will have our revenge. That's my only line. Oh no, things look grim. What are you going to do? Well, fortunately for you, out of nowhere comes E.T. the extraterrestrial. Is the day saved? Has your foe finally met its match? Basically, what it boils down to is this. Is our friend E.T. a Jedi? Or not? Let's examine the evidence. The evidence given for E.T. being a Jedi is more or less this. One, that E.T. exists in the Star Wars universe. Two, sort of connected to one, E.T. recognizes Yoda. Three, E.T. at one point towards the end of the movie wears a bathrobe in a fashion that resembles a Jedi robe, Jedi cloak. And last but not least, E.T. exhibits Jedi powers. Now, if all these are true, then E.T. may well be a Jedi. That would be interesting. But are any of these true? Well, let's look at the first one. The first one actually is true. E.T. does exist in the Star Wars universe. So a meeting between these guys here is theoretically possible. This guy does not exist in the Star Wars universe, sadly. So we're going to put him off to the side. But as far as E.T. is concerned, Star Wars Episode 1, in what's essentially just an Easter egg, did include a bunch of members of E.T.'s species in the Senate scene. Mostly so there'd be something interesting in the Senate scene to look at. But with that, we have established that E.T. does in fact exist in the Star Wars universe. But what does that prove? Billions of trillions of beings exist in the Star Wars universe, and not all of them are Jedi, as evidenced by the fact that the Star Wars movie coming out later this year is actually called The Last Jedi. But being from the Star Wars universe does mean that E.T. has a chance to be a Jedi. So is he? Well, the evidence would tell you that he recognizes Yoda, proving that he is a Jedi. But hold on. First of all, I think most people in the Star Wars universe would recognize Yoda. And secondly, when he recognizes Yoda, what he's actually recognizing is a kid in a cheap Halloween mask. I wouldn't think any real true Jedi would be fooled by the Halloween mask. This seems more like the reaction of somebody who only knows Yoda through holovids and news coverage, things of that nature, who's never actually been close to him. So, strike one for E.T. being a Jedi. Yeah. But what about the Jedi robes? As we said, when E.T. is escaping from the feds at the end of the movie, he wears a bathrobe, possibly a towel, I think it's a bathrobe, in a fashion that seems very reminiscent of the famous Jedi robe, which wasn't even a thing in the Star Wars universe at that point, only being worn by Obi-Wan Kenobi, but we've since established that Jedi wear robes. Here's the problem with that. One, E.T. was being disguised so he wouldn't be, hey, look, there's a kid with an alien on his bike. And two, E.T. spends most of the movie naked when he's not, in drag as he is here. In fact, he comes out of the spaceship completely stark naked, and all his cohorts on the ship are naked. I think there's a story about the trip to Earth that we probably don't want the kiddies watching. But in either way, a naked Jedi has no place to store such things as communicators or the ever-present lightsaber, which is, as much of a Jedi as their own limbs are. Jedi, even if their species usually would go naked, I think the Jedi of those species would wear some kind of robe, something to keep their gear in. And so naked Jedis are just not a thing. And 9 times out of 10, that's a good thing when you picture some of the alien species we've seen. So another strike against E.T. being a Jedi. But wait, what about all those Jedi powers E.T. has? Perhaps E.T. is just so powerful a Jedi he doesn't need a lightsaber. Well, let's take a look at his so-called powers. He has the power of healing, he has the power of levitation, and he has the power of telekinesis. Now, before it was established that he came from the Star Wars universe, it was just assumed that every member of his species has these powers. And I don't see any reason why we should change that assumption now. Look at the powers individually. Telekinesis, for example. E.T. communicates to Elliot through his mind. Now, this seems to me like just something his species does. I think they're just communicate through their minds. Notice how little E.T. speaks. And yes, he's a stranger on a strange world and he doesn't know the language. But he doesn't speak his own language throughout the movie. If I was lost on an alien world, I'd be muttering to myself the whole time, hey, where do I go from here? Why my buddies leave me? I would say something in English, even if I knew nobody could understand me. E.T. does not do this. You don't even see him talking to the other extraterrestrials in his ship in either the beginning or the ending of the movie. He doesn't go off on the planet and they wave and say, goodbye, E.T., good luck. Nothing like that. Of course, his name wasn't, technically E.T., but you get the point. So, I don't think his species speaks very much on the whole. Obviously, they're capable of it, but they prefer to speak telepathically. So that's just a natural ability of his. What about teleportation? He's clearly shown teleporting throughout the film. The famous bike across the moon scene, for example. And that is pretty impressive. In fact, it's a little too impressive. Never in the Star Wars movies have we seen a Jedi being able to teleport or lift with his mind anything that high of that a duration. I imagine Yoda would tell you that it was possible, but we've never ever seen it. Again, I think this is just a natural adaptation to his species. Now, if we take a look at E.T.'s legs, well, you can't, because he doesn't have any. He's got stubby little feet coming right off of his backside there. I think just getting around is difficult for these guys, let alone stairs. They're worse than Daleks. Natural adaptation, being able to telekinetically lift objects and yourself wherever you need to be. Natural power, not from the Force. And, of course, there's healing. Ouch. Don't touch me, you freak. E.T. can heal, which is not a Jedi power really seen in the movies. It might have been shown in some of the expanded universe stuff, but most of that never happened anymore thanks to Disney. And when he does heal, he does so in a unique manner with a glowing fingertip. Obviously something he was born with and just something his species in general can do. And so another knock on the theory of E.T. being a Jedi. And if that wasn't enough, consider E.T.'s mission. Why is he on Earth in the first place? Well, he's here collecting flowers. That's what he's doing. I know, I played the Atari game. And so he's not saving a planet, he's not negotiating any peace treaty, he's not rescuing anyone from anyone or hunting down any dangerous criminals. No, he's plucking daisies. So, given the evidence, is E.T. a Jedi? No, he is not. He is a nudist florist from space. And that's about that. Well, hopefully this entertained and informed you guys, and we'll catch up with you later. Until then, keep watching the skies.